What's good? Welcome in. You're tuned in to the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you. The Niners are on a bye week. We're all going to miss them having a game. But just because they're having a break does not mean that we're taking a break here on the show. And on the program today, going to take all of your questions, all of your comments as we chop it up with the faithful better than any other YouTube channel out there. So with that, let's do this. Start taking those questions and comments. We kick it off with Sir Melo Performance. Kyle is taking care of his homie in Miami. It's just another 49ers team in the AFC. Much love, real one. Appreciate you for being a real one and subscribing to the channel. And yeah, look, Jeff Wilson, I believe, approached Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, and you're referring to the Jeff Wilson trade, I imagine, and probably said, look, because we traded for McCaffrey, my role is going to be reduced once Elijah Mitchell comes back. If there's a trade partner out there where I can get more snaps, do you mind sending me away? Because I know once Elijah Mitchell comes back, I'm going to slide down the depth chart, and my former OC and Mike McDaniel could really use me and use me well. So it's a good opportunity for Jeff Wilson. And speaking of him, this one coming in from Timothy Smith, do you feel the Wilson trade was worth losing a good runner for a trade pick when backs don't stay healthy? Well, look, you have McCaffrey. You're going to have Elijah Mitchell soon. Maybe we see more from Jordan Mason. Maybe we see more from Ty Davis-Price. You have Tevin Coleman on the practice squad. You also have Deebo Samuel. That's 6 guys who can still play running back, right? 6. So that's a lot at your disposal, and you weren't going to play Wilson all that much. And we know that the Niners do a masterful job of hitting on picks in the mid to late rounds, and they gave up a few of those for Christian McCaffrey. So in turn, they get one back. I don't think that it was too much at all. Tuck Wyatt, research shows over 20 touches per game hurts running backs' long-term careers. Do teams have a moral obligation to not overuse them / ruin running backs? And how many touches is it good for CMC to maintain for 3 years? Yeah, I mean, you're right. Anytime the workload for a running back becomes too great, they end up crumbling. That's why, especially at that running back spot, National Football League also stands for not for long. But I also look at Christian McCaffrey more as a weapon and less as a running back. And you can preserve him by keeping him healthy. Don't run him in between the tackles all the time. Occasionally, yes, because he's good. You saw him do that against the Los Angeles Rams. Get him out in space. Get him the football as a pass catcher. Line him up in the slot. And at the end of his career or at the end of his contract, maybe you play him more in the slot a little bit as a guy who, with that great footwork, can kind of put defensive backs or linebackers in a turnstile. So you don't want to overuse any backs, that's for sure. I think that's also why San Francisco has used draft capital to draft guys like Trey Sermon and Ty Davis-Price because they understand that they do get hurt a lot. So you make a good point, but you can preserve Christian McCaffrey, and I hope they do because you saw last week, this guy's special. Shayla Venata, oh my gosh, you're back. Brings us back to epic super chats that came in. Epic super chats. You're one of our biggest super chatters. By the way, $20 or more, we'll put your initials on the minor helmet, then we'll give it away to the biggest super chat. The number to beat right now, $100. Your hardest matchup, on the remaining schedule. That's a good question. You come out of the bye week against the Chargers. You have to take on Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Seattle Seahawks are always a tough game, especially on the road. Miami Dolphins are playing really good football. 2 games against the Arizona Cardinals, difficult. You play the New Orleans Saints. Some difficult games remaining on the schedule, but I'd say Miami. I'd say the Chargers because of their aerial attack. Honestly, just because of the previous history of Seattle historically owning the Niners, I'd say playing in front of the 12th man in Seattle might be the toughest remaining game on the schedule. Do want to tell you about a brand new sponsor right here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. You can become a Lord today. That's right. A Lord today by going to establishtitles.com/chat, and in the process, grab a plot of Scottish land right next to me. And you can get a unique and special certificate that'll call you Lord Chase Sr. as evidence by the proclamation that I have in my hands, and we just showed you on the screen here. This is the plot of land that you can actually buy Yes, up to 80% off. And if you head to EstablishedTitles.com/chat, you get an extra 10% off. What is Established Titles? A fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping global reforestation efforts. It's a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds, lords, or ladies in English. And the first 200 people purchasing a title pack, which makes for a great holiday gift, using our link, will effectively be next to my plot, and all of us together, we can have our own Niner empire in Scotland. And with every purchase, a tree is planted somewhere all across the globe. It makes for an amazing last-minute gift. Established Titles actually running a massive sale right now. Plus, if you use the code CHAT, you get an additional 10% off. We'll put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. Can you imagine going to your parents saying, you are now a landowner in Scotland, and I'm going to call you Lord Daddy? That'd be pretty special right there. Fabian Torres, what's good? Who do you think should make the Super Bowl with us? I think the Niners on a collision course right now with the Philadelphia Eagles to potentially make it to the Super Bowl, or at least the NFC Championship game, I should say. And then in the Super Bowl, if the Niners are able to get there, I think it's a two-headed race, man. I really do. I think it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it's the Buffalo Bills. I know the Cincinnati Bengals did it last year, but without Jamar Chase the next couple of weeks, and that offensive line, even though they invested there, it's not good at all. And then you look elsewhere across the AFC. Like, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are a really quality team, and I think that Lamar is a better passer than what people give him credit for. But can he win big when it matters the most, and can he win from the pocket, which is a little bit of a concern for me? That's the big looming question. Now, they did bring in Roquan Smith on NFL trade deadline day. That's an organization that definitely prioritizes linebackers and paying them. So those few teams in the AFC, they could represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Davo, good to hear from you. What is your playoff prediction in the West? Rams in the playoffs? I don't think so. I don't think they're good. And they didn't make any moves at the deadline, which is really surprising to me. So I think it's a two-team outcome in the NFC West for teams to make the playoffs. Might be Seattle, and it might be the 49ers. I don't believe in the Cardinals either. Evan Hinders, GM Evan, my guy. Since Jeff Wilson got traded, should the Niners try out a running back because of injury history? If another injury happens, then maybe. Right now, they don't need to. They have about 6 guys on the team, practice squad and active roster, who can play running back. And on game days, they'll have about 3 or 4 active. Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell once he's back, Jordan Mason, Ty Davis-Price, Deebo Samuel, and then Tevin Coleman is your practice squad back. So I think they're pretty set there. If you're going to miss Niners football this week, I'm really going to miss it. No games this week? That means no watch party? I'm like addicted to the grind, man. I'm really going to miss chopping it up with everybody. If you're with me, type me in the comment section. Joel Martinez, Joel. I'd trade Deebo in order to re-sign Brandon Aiyuk. You think so? I don't think you need to. I think you're going to have money. Plus, Deebo, pretty special playmaker, and I think that contract is actually pretty team-friendly on the back end. So I don't really think you need to trade Deebo. I think you can also re-sign Aiyuk, but there's no doubt he's on the cusp of maybe surpassing 1,000 receiving yards, and if he does that, he's going to earn himself some money. Patriot fighter, representing our country. Do you think Jimmy can throw deep? He can. Is he good at it? Not really. That Christian McCaffrey throw, it went 34 yards. That was the first touchdown pass of 30 or more yards this year. It's an indictment on the quarterback to a certain degree, but Jimmy Garoppolo, he's comfortable with living around the numbers, living inside the hashes. That's where his strengths are. Ace 209, only team that is stopping us from getting to the Super Bowl is the drop passes and missed tackles. I'd say injuries too, and I'd say penalties. Also, interceptions for Jimmy G. All of those of massive concern for me, for this Niners team here. James Hansen, what defensive piece do you think that we still need? It would have to come down to the top remaining free agents. I was looking at that list this week. It is so thin. It is so thin. Maybe they can sign a guy like Sidney Jones if he's not claimed by the time that this video is shown. But defensive piece, they're kind of set. They get Jason Verrett back. That's basically like a trade deadline acquisition. Rick, $10 super chat. What's good, Rick? Thank you for your donation, man. You're a real one. That beard is fierce, too. Phenomenal. What's up, Chase? I'm going to miss my Niners this weekend, but my Dubs will be playing Golden State Warriors, I think, in line to compete for another NBA championship in the West right now. I think it's the Warriors, Clippers, Suns. Those are the threats to win the West. So no Niners football this week, but it gives us an opportunity to catch a little bit of a breather. Before we hop on out of here for this mailbag, who will be the Niners' breakout star the rest of the season? Let us know in the comments section. And I lied because we have more questions that came in right before the buzzer. James Hansen, what's the update with injuries on defensive and returning players? Jack, can we go through that list of players who could return following the bye week against the Chargers? Now, this isn't a guarantee by any means, but these players, keyword, could return. Deebo Samuel, Juice, Elijah Mitchell, Jawan Jennings, Eric Armstead, Azeez Al-Shire, Dre Greenlaw, Jordan Willis, Javon Kinlaw, and Jason Verrett. All those players could return following the bye. Funky Nitro. Funky. Do you think Jimmy G will be a Niner next year sitting behind Trey? I don't think so if he's the backup. I think that Jimmy G will be a Niner if he's the starter. If he's not the starter, I think he goes somewhere else to try to be the starter. It's going to be a lot of teams in need of a quarterback next year. Steve Cass, if CMC can teach our receivers to look at the quarterback and make sure you hit the empty spot in the quarterback line of sight, yeah, that would be great. Look, this guy is so incredibly skilled. Christian McCaffrey, you can tell, is just a football junkie. It obviously helps when his pops, Ed McCaffrey, was a really good player for a long time, playing under, by the way, Mike Shanahan with the Denver Broncos with some of the Super Bowl teams with John Elway. And his footwork is phenomenal. His route running is very precise and crisp. But also as a running back, like, his vision is exceptional. He has the speed to get out to the edge, but a little bit of physicality to lay the boom and run in between the tackles. I thought that my boy Corey Boumo made a really good point in saying, look, when he gets hit hard, he fumbles, and he did fumble it twice against the Rams. So it's a little bit of a concern. Which game from here on out are you looking most forward to? It's a pretty stacked schedule for San Francisco. Let us know. Save the Scottish Woodlands. Get a tree planted across the globe with our brand new sponsor, EstablishedTitles.com/chat. 10% off there. And as always, thanks for your support of the show.